That's all we need.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Tigers Down Under. I'm your host, Alex, and with me I have Mike. How are you, Mike?
Yeah, doing well. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Better after this morning than after Sunday morning, I've got to say that.
Yeah, 100%. It was a stressful way to start the day, but a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, well, actually, what I'll first say is I'm wearing an Ivory Coast shirt for once. I'm not wearing a City shirt, which let's start the episode off with some positive. I think it was like someone was tweeting out. I think it was actually the first time a City player has won like a major trophy like that. So awesome effort by Seri.
Yeah, I think in the final game he played, I think it was like 93 minutes. It was the last kind of couple games when he was brought in, because I don't think he played the first few. But when he was brought in, brought into the knockout stages and completely changed the team. And good to see them with the win. Good to see Huller as well make it through a massive cancer scare and come out with with the winning goal.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Seri's back for the Huddersfield game, which we'll talk about later in the episode. But hopefully he's not too hungover from the celebrations. We'll see how that goes.
He doesn't strike me as someone that would party too well.
Yeah. He seems more like the hipster. He'll sort of sit at the back of the room and just sort of chill out. So there we go. Well, look, we'll brush through this first game because we were sort of talking beforehand. There's not a whole lot to say about this Swansea fixture. And, the 1-0 loss after, 15 minutes, they scored the goal. And really like a frustrating game in a sense, just because on the back of the bulk of the Millwall game, I suppose, where we weren't creating a whole lot either, I guess just a big concern that we're not creating those chances and coming back from that losing position. Yeah,
for sure. I think it was probably one of our worst performances of the season, or at least in recent weeks. We're in the position where we had one of potentially the best transfer windows we've had in a very long time, if not ever. And for us to come out against Swansea and just fall flat was pretty poor. And I think Philogene having the worst game he's had in a Hull City shirt. And when we touch on Rotherham, I think we'll talk about how he's kind of clawed it back a little bit. But it was a performance that I don't think we expected from him. But I think at the same time, I'm always glad that it happened. I think he had been riding the wave of, I guess, the purple patch of such good form. And I think he almost needed a really rough game to kind of step back, even though I don't think he got subbed off.
No.
And that's kind of what bothers me a little bit about Rosie, is that if a player's not performing well, he kind of just leaves them on to hopefully correct themselves.
I think especially with Philogene, it's so tough because I have no doubt the perspective is Philogene's the sort of player who we'll talk Rotherham, can just turn things on in a moment and change a game. And so you're so hesitant or you're so reluctant to take him off if you don't need to, because he can just make that magic moment happen. But and maybe it's more a discussion for that Rotherham game, but the way that he plays, that sort of performance against Swansea is in him, where he's taking that extra touch. He's not looking for that first time pass. He's sort of holding onto the ball too long. And if teams then close him down, it just makes his game sort of like the poor aspects of his game magnified so much more than it can be.
Yeah, obviously neither of us are professional football players, and neither of us are anywhere near the level. We both play Sunday League. And we're not at the level where we can control the ball like Jaden. But the concerning part is if it's not working for him, he doesn't try to change it. He just keeps doing the same thing. And when it comes to games like Swansea, where he's obviously got two men on him at all times, and he doesn't have the room or the even the confidence towards the end of the game to just keep doing what he normally does, like that's when he should be starting to play balls and try pass more. But it just doesn't seem in his game. And I think I'll definitely touch on it when we speak Rotherham, but it feels like that part of his game is almost lacking.
I guess on a more positive front, though, not that there were too many performers on the pitch against Swansea, but I thought Allsop in goal, the goal, I don't know how much I'd put down to him, but other than that, I thought his positioning, his ability he pulled out some great saves, his ability to take the ball out of the air as well and kind of hold on to it as well, was really great to see. I think he's actually put in a couple of really good performances lately. So I think he was a real standout in my mind.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that he kind of week in, week out. And there was part of me that was maybe a little bit concerned that, we signed Panda, and I almost thought that he was going to slide in straight away as as the starting 11 keeper, and I'm almost glad that he hasn't. I mean, Allsop's really keeping him out of the team, and for Allsop to keep an under-21 Croatian international out of the team, it just speaks volumes as to his form. And a bit unfortunate, with the Swansea goal and the Rotherham goal as well. Like, neither of those, I think you can really fault him. If anything, it's our defense. But obviously then it kind of looks like it's been the keeper. But I think, both, I think for the last few weeks, he's almost been in the 3-2-1 for MVP.
Yeah, no doubt. And I guess the other one was to see a cameo from Irma off the bench as well. Credit to Rosie as the game wore on. He was trying to make things happen. He was throwing a few players on, and Irma really took that opportunity. I thought he played a great ball through for Slater at one point, and I think Slater was almost not expecting it. And it shows, I suppose, these new signings do need that time to bed in and for teammates to sort of read their patterns or, get used to their style of play. But he certainly looked lively.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for Abdush for, I guess, the remainder of the season, and I was kind of hoping he would get some time today. I think if we went 2-1 up, he would have played as well. He's someone that I think, give him a few weeks, and I think he'll be in the 11. I think there's undeniable quality, but it's just getting him to fit in with the rest of the team and figuring out where you put him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, then, we'll get your votes for this game, and then we'll talk Rotherham.
Yeah, I'm with you here. Like, Allsop 2 fan, Abdush.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've gone Allsop for the 3, like I was saying. With Allsop's display was actually quite a decent game from him. 2 fan, I thought. His pressing ability, and we'll talk more about it with the Rotherham game, but he's really transformed himself into a bit of a workhorse for us, which was on display again. And Irma for the cameo off the bench, I thought was good to see. So take me into your mindset probably at halftime or even at sort of 65, 70 minutes this morning, 1-0 down to the team bottom of the table, sort of staring down back defeats. Looking at what were we, 9th, 10th in the table? Yeah. How are you feeling?
I felt worse throughout the season. I think we conceded a really early goal and a really sloppy goal. But we had enough chances in that first half towards the end of the second half where I was kind of like, okay, we can get a point here. Like, it doesn't look like all hope is lost like it did for Swansea. Yeah. Like in the Swansea game, I had zero hope. Nothing we did was working out. I was obviously keeping up with the live table, and I see us at 9th, and obviously Norwich winning 4-2 doesn't help either. But I didn't expect us to come out 2-1 winners. I genuinely thought we were going to pull out a draw. And then something just changed. Something just shifted in our mentality. I mean, we have to talk about the goal. It's so I don't know. I think it's incredible.
I think I'm going to have the same opinion as you, but go for it.
So it's gone down as an own goal. And it's, look, it is what it is. I think Rathbone is completely at fault from a Rotherham perspective. And I was going through the Rotherham kind of fan threads, and everyone is calling for him to be sold or removed from the team. Like, it's completely poor defending. It's the worst decision you can make. Like, I mean, a lot of the comments were saying, you're taught as a young kid, you never turn back, face towards goal, and try run that way. He's had 2 opportunities to clear the ball, and he hasn't.
Just gonna boot it.
So my thing is with the Philogene goal is that Ohio is completely free. Yeah. Ohio is standing there waiting for the ball. If Philo just crosses down, like just on the ground, just passes to Ohio, he has an open net. But no, he can't do that. If that goal doesn't go in, our entire team roasts him. I think Rosie gives him a yelling at. Ohio is standing there with his arms out, as the ball is like being reboned into the goal. And it took him a solid 5 seconds before he was like, okay, fine, I guess I should go celebrate with him.
I was just going to say, he just sort of, even after it's gone in, he's still standing there like, I can't believe
Yeah,
he just did
it's
that.
only Philogene would try that.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think for me, there's two very distinct things to talk about with this goal. Is one, the incredible goal, the skill, the technique, and amazing. Yep, it's the sort of goal where I look at that first Rotherham game with the backheel goal, I think, which was to put us 3-0 up. Certainly wasn't the first goal. And you go, that's like that showboating goal when you're already a couple of goals up, and it's brilliant. At 1-0 down, 70 minutes in,
it's not what you do.
It's sort of where I look at the Swansea game, and it's the fine line between a great game and a terrible game for Philogene, where he's holding onto the ball too long, he's trying to make things happen, he can't find a teammate. This morning it came off, and great, fantastic. Like, we walk away with the 3 points because it sort of spurred us on. But that fine line is there.
Yeah,
and
he's towing
as much as Rosie's probably in the dressing room going, amazing goal, brilliant, whatever, I'm sure he's also saying, you have to look, raise your eyes. You had a teammate center of the box.
Yeah, he'd have to, and if he, I'm sure he would have. That there's zero need to take 60 touches in that position and then try to Rabona. Ohio should have had two. It's that simple. Like, there's zero need for Philogene to do that. If it's not deflected, goal of the season without a doubt. Wrap it up now.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to say is roast whoever's decided that goes down as an own goal. I'm like, I don't even care if on a technicality it's off target. For the amount of skill and effort that's gone into that, to not credit it as a Philogene goal, I think is also pretty criminal.
Look,
it's not like it's a clear cross that's like taking this 90-degree deflection.
Yeah.
Like, it's as close to on target as you're going to get.
I won't lie. I don't actually know what he was trying. I don't know if he was genuinely trying to shoot. Because I haven't seen much from his left foot this season.
True. I don't know. Knowing him, I'm like, he was 100%.
Yeah, so because knowing him 100%, he was going for a shot. But it's hard to tell if it's on target.
Yeah. So you mentioned there Ohio as well. Obviously got the winner. I thought a better cameo than his display against Millwall the other week. First touch still letting him down a bit, which is probably just, he's still getting up to speed with the physicality and the having been thrown on late and all that sort of thing. Great run, great positioning for the goal, great vision from Giles as well for it. So I think I said the other week when we signed him, he's the sort of player where you just hope he can get a goal early on, and that gives him that confidence he can potentially start against Huddersfield and really hit the ground running. So it was sort of the perfect cameo for him.
Yeah, I think I as Ohio's coming on, I posted in the chat saying this is his time. And I was really happy to see that. And I think, take it back to a little bit even before the goal. It's not, no, Giles' shot was the first goal.
That was the Philogene goal, yeah.
Yeah. So Giles leading up to his assist, it had a cracker game. And I think he's starting to show pieces of why he was, the top assist maker in the league. I think it was the last season. So seeing them combine was really exciting. But I think for Ohio, he's played 41 minutes across 2 games and has already got a goal. I think that gives him a world of confidence. And the touch thing is something that will come. But I think his movement off the ball as well is something to be highlighted. I think it takes a striker that knows what's going on to pull back and kind of come towards the ball, because he easily could have misjudged it. So I'm pretty excited for him and for the rest of the season, given our star boy Delap still isn't ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Johansson for Rotherham putting in a blinder. You sort of said it before, but I think the positive for me with this game was how many shots we were taking, how many shots on target, how near we were getting to a goal. It was Johansson just pulling off a blinder, and I thought, it was the sort of game where even though he was doing so well, there was a part of me, even at 1-0 down, I was going, I still feel like we can win this. And I was, even as it got late, I was starting to crack towards the end. Like, I think I actually messaged the chat to say, pressure's going to come on Rossini if we lose this.
Yeah.
It's only a minute or two later we scored, but it did feel for a long time. I was like, it feels like we're going to break through. But Johansson had a blinder. And as you said, Allsop for us, harsh on him with that goal with the deflection. So not really his fault.
Yeah, Johansson really bothered me. It was potentially one of the best keeping displays I've seen all season, and probably why he's the goalkeeper of the league, I would say.
Yeah.
But Sharp has a one-on-one header, beautiful save from your hands. I mean, to be fair, Sharp could have put it either side and it would be a goal.
It was a great cross from Slater for that as well.
Greaves had a header from a corner, I think a corner or a free kick as well. Zarari had a shot that Johansson has saved, like on his near side.
Cavalier had one, but that was a bit tamer.
Yeah, that was very tame. Cavalier was pretty poor.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're moving into that, I would say that it just felt, especially for the first half an hour, 40 minutes, even for the first 10, all he tried to do was win a foul. And even Klukas gets into his ear and it's like, dude, come on, get up. Which I kind of like because I still have a soft spot in my heart for Klukas.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say that's probably 2 games in a row where he just hasn't been on the pace almost. Like it just feels like the game is moving around him and he's just kind of there.
I almost feel like with the Sunderland game and Norwich when he came in, because he was sort of the main man, he embraced that a lot more. And now he's more just one of the pieces of our forward line. It's not all going through him. Maybe he's struggling a bit more.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll come out of it. I'm sure it'll take a little bit of time, but I don't know if I want to keep kind of pushing him there in the starting 11 and waiting when we have the likes of Omar that can come on and grind for it, because he also wants to be part of the 11. He wants to play, and I think Carvalho almost assumes he's going to be in the 11 each week because he's this star signing from Liverpool.
Yeah, and that's where I almost think rotating him out for an Irma or Tufan to come back in or something like that maybe just lets him know that it isn't like a guaranteed start each week and that he does need to work for it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the lineup against Huddersfield. I'll run through my votes first. I might have the surprising one of having Slater top of my votes. I thought he put in a really strong display. I was actually surprised when he got subbed off. I thought Morton was having a much quieter game, and I suppose they were playing a reasonably similar role in midfield. I think Slater was a bit more advanced. But Slater put in that cross for Sharp, and I thought he put a few really good balls through as well. Was really probably one of the highlights of that first half, and then sort of continued on in the second, but came off for Tufan. Ohio for the winning goal, I gave the 2 votes to. I thought, as I said, like his movement for the goal was great. Philogene for the 1. As I said, it's the fine line between a great game and a poor game for him.
Yeah.
I had to give it to him for the kick-starting us. Giles very stiff to miss out, though.
Yeah. Can I put Johansson as my 3? I put Giles at 3. I think it was his best performance. Obviously, I mean, it's only been 2 games or 3 games, but he just felt so comfortable and confident down that left wing. Then Ohio, and then you have to give Philogene some credit.
Yeah, no, good shout. You mentioned him just before. We will do a quick player review for this week of our missing man, our star boy, Liam Delap. We've been doing these player reviews all season, and I sort of like to leave it until this later point in the season to do the signings from this season. So we've actually had a bit of time to reflect on them. Sort of conspicuous by his absence is Delap. I think, Ohio could certainly grow into that role of, getting in behind defenders, stretching teams and so on. But we've really felt, I think, the last 3-4 games, whatever it's been, that without Delap there to make those runs, to sort of pull defenders out of position and get that space, it's a really different dynamic to our side without him in there. But 7 goals from 26 games. When we signed him on loan, I don't think anyone was thinking he'd pull up trees, but he's been terrific. Yeah.
I think you asked me my rating, and I wrote in capitals by him.
I was going to say,
Yeah, I get the kind of similarities between Ohio and Delap from a physicality perspective, but I think that where Delap is just leaps and bounds above is his touch and forward running.
Yeah.
When Delap has the ball and is attacked, every time he gets the ball, he's going to take on a defender. He's basically got the traits of a winger with the skills of a striker, and I think that's what differentiates him so much from almost any other striker we've had. Probably the closest I would put him to is Hernandez. I would say, their forward thinking is probably quite similar. and it whenever he had the ball, something was going to happen, whether it was a goal, or whether it was an assist, whether it was just a shot. It just felt like he was going to make something happen. I'm hoping Ohio can grow into that, but at the same time, I mean, depending on what happens the rest of the season, and if we get through to the playoffs, if we don't, if we get rid of someone like Philogene, if I'm assuming a Premier League team is going to come in and throw 20 mil at him, I would want to spend as much of that as possible to get Delap in on a permanent.
Yeah, and I think the positive news with him being that he's avoided surgery, that he could well be back for the last sort of run-in of games, call it the last half dozen. You have to think if he comes in for that and then is around for a potential playoff campaign, that's a huge boost to the side. And like you said, I think I've said it before on the podcast, you know, if we could only make one signing in the summer, and if that was Delap, I'd be happy with that. I mean, there's other deficiencies in the squad, but even just getting Delap in on a permanent just makes so much sense to us. It's the sort of thing where I know in the past, the Junes talked about spending a lot of money on forwards, and then we've not really ended up doing it. As much of a sure bet as you can get is to bring in someone like Delap, where you're like, you know that he's performed, he suits the system. Just go and do it. If you can.
Of course. If you can is the key part. And it depends as well if City would want to send him out again. I don't see him getting into the City team. I mean, unless Haaland leaves. Even if Haaland leaves, they've got an array of other strikers like Alvarez and Foden. Even Foden could play striker. So I don't see him cracking the 11 anytime soon. So they might be able to get a fair amount by selling him on. And if we don't make playoffs this season, I have a very strong feeling that come next year, we'll repeat the transfer success and probably push for, I would say, automatic.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me is if you were able to get someone like Delap in the summer, especially early in the summer, and sort of set that tone, I would have no doubt would be looking to push for automatics next season, especially with the sort of quality of teams coming down. The only thing I'd say, I don't know if Man City did try to keep hold of him and potentially loan him to a lower Premier League club's probably the only risk. But everything I've heard is that we are trying behind the scenes with, you know, whether it's buyback clauses or sell-ons or anything like that, all those sorts of things to try and give City Man City as much motivation as possible to sell to us. I think, you know, it's about 10 million they're saying would get it done, which is a big fee. But as you said, if we're selling a Philogene in the summer for 20, 25 million, more than happy to spend the majority of that to get it to lap in.
I mean,
but we'll see.
10 is a lot. I think there are definitely other areas. I mean, you look at every player we've got on loan, those are a lot of positions that are going to become vacant. I mean, we're going to be losing Morton, Zarari. There are a bunch of players that are going to leave, and if it's 10 million on one player, and then, you know, we're kind of strapped for cash to fill the other positions. Like, do we go for the same concept of, all right, we keep loaning players every year in, year out, where we kind of don't really have that chemistry continuously building. That being said, like the second half of this season, it seems like the players have already started gelling well. So, look, I'd love to see him on a permanent. I'd love to see him continue playing, and hopefully we do get 6-7 games out of him at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, me playing FIFA or Football Manager or whatever kind of goes, oh, you know, but you sign him for 10 million, he'll be worth 20, 25 million in a couple of years.
Yeah,
it's easy. Just do it. But
it's an investment, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's never that easy. Hey, we've got David watching along saying he loves watching the show. So much appreciated, Dave. Thank you for watching along with us. Makes it all the more enjoyable to do. But look, we'll move on to the previews then. Huddersfield and Southampton, we'll sort of break them down because they're very different sorts of games. Having played each other just on the weekend, it showed Huddersfield really sort of turned a corner under their caretaker manager. I think with Darren Moore going, he's taken all his staff with him. So I don't actually know the name of the caretaker, but I think he's sort of just gone in with a YOLO sort of attitude. He's sort of gone, let's just score goals, be attacking, have fun. I saw someone talking about it as, you know, you go in as a caretaker and you kind of have nothing to lose. And if you can get some results and play attacking football, everyone goes, oh, you know, maybe we think about giving it to you. So it does make it an interesting proposition for us this weekend in that sense.
Yeah, I think this is a really tough one. I mean, if you were to look on just league position, it's a no-brainer. But you would have done the same this morning, and then you would have been shocked 15 minutes in. You say they've changed around. Look, they have 1 win in 8 in all competition and 2 in 14. Rotherham had 1 in 20. And it just seems that whenever we get put up against these teams, something wrong happens to us. And I don't know if it's the mentality of the players going into the game or what it is. But that has to change. And I think after today's game, Rosie's going to be very on top of the mentality of the team, let alone like the fitness of the team. I mean, last time we beat them away was 2013, and that was a 1-0 win. Thank you, George Boyd.
So I was just going to say that sounded familiar. Yeah,
but the last 3 times we've played them, we haven't scored a goal and we've conceded 7. So it's not looking good. Their 1 win was against Sheffield Wednesday, which I don't know if is big bragging rights. Okay, yeah, they scored 4 goals, but they're second last in the table. And they're not necessarily in the best vein of form either.
2-0 up against Southampton is something, but
of course. They've scored 7 goals in 2 games. Like there's no putting past that, and scoring 3 against Southampton is huge. But what I've noted down as well is we perform a lot better against clubs that just go for it and don't kind of sit back and defend. That's where we really struggle. Or when they press us, and a team that's attacking nonstop doesn't have the energy to press. So there's going to be empty parts on the pitch. There's going to be gaps, and it's just about us picking those apart. And I think this is really important. Where a player like Philogene on form, picking passes out, or Tufan, or even Omar, like we've seen him being able to pick a pass, and I think a game like Huddersfield really lets him shine.
Giles as well. I think I think even if we're sort of playing almost a counter-attacking against an attacking Huddersfield, will allow guys like Giles and Coyle to get forward to pick passes and really pass our way through them. You think like Slate? I mean, well, we can talk like who comes out of the side for the weekend. Do you think?
I said Carvalho out and Sharp out. So Omar in for Carvalho, and then Ohio in for Sharp.
I'd probably say that too.
But I think, I don't even know where you'd put Tufan.
Yeah, that's a fair point as well. Zaruri is one we haven't really talked about. I think he's been sort of hot and cold at times. I don't know whether the risk is you don't want to change it too much too quickly with some of those guys. You want to give them a chance to bet in. But whether you do bring Tufan back in for a Zaruri and you're pushing, I guess you'd have Irma and Philogene on the wings, Tufan central potentially.
Yeah, but it means I don't know if I want to put. I don't like Tufan up front.
As in like a higher up front with Tufan behind.
Yeah, and then you just have to either pick Morton or Slater because you can't have both of them in there.
No, so you'd have Slater and Morton in the double pivot, Philogene and Irma out wide, Tufan through the middle as your 5-man midfield, and then you have a high up top.
Seri comes back as well, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, true. I don't know. You probably maybe start Seri on the bench. I don't know. But I'm looking at like Traore's been on the bench, but maybe Seri would come straight in. I don't know.
I don't know. I want to see Omar and Ohio. I think those are the 2 big ones for me that I would want to see starting. I think Ohio probably deserves a good 60 minutes. And then having someone like Sharp to come off the bench is not a terrible addition to have, or even putting Carvalho up front.
And I think that's the thing with Sharp. I think he works so much better off the bench. I don't think I saw the reasoning of starting him because it's, give him a start. It's Yorkshire Derby. It's kind of game.
He's Matty Fryer. He's Matty Fryer vibes at the end of his career. That's how I've been referring to him since we brought him in. Like he knows where the goal is. He knows how to score at championship level. But I don't necessarily know if I play him for a 90-minute game. So I prefer him fit in 30 minutes when the opposing team is tired. Yeah,
no, 100%. Score prediction for this one?
Obviously we haven't scored in the last 3 with them, so I had to change that. I said 3-2 win.
Yeah, right. Okay. High scoring.
Yeah.
Because I saw the stat that we hadn't scored more than a goal, I don't know, like 6 or 7 games or something before this morning. So, hopefully we can find our scoring. But higher on the score sheet would be nice. Philogene getting back amongst it would be good as well. Yeah, I'll go. Hopefully another 2-1. I'd take that. I'd be happy with that. Just bank it.
Yeah.
And then we've got the big one next midweek. It's our game in hand against Southampton. Everyone kind of looks at the table at the moment. They say, we're a point outside the top 6 with a game in hand. And you go, yeah, I have to remember that the game in hand is Southampton. It's not like a Cardiff or something.
I think if they hadn't have lost this morning, I'd be more worried. I think
I'm the opposite, but yeah.
Well, it depends on what their result is this weekend.
True.
So if they don't back up from that, then okay, great, exciting. Even if they do win, like I still don't think it's the end of the world. Look, it was a shock loss. I think no one had Bristol City other than not the top 20 had Bristol as the potential team that could take down Southampton. And even then, like, it's essentially a 3-0 win because there was a consolation goal at the end from Armstrong for a penalty in like the 96th minute. So I don't know. It's that, and then the game after. Obviously, we're not going to talk about it, but the game after Southampton, we've got West Brom. It's 2 huge games, and I have a feeling it's 2 games that could make or break playoffs. A loss against. I mean, a loss against Huddersfield will ruin my dreams. But Southampton's probably going to be the toughest game this season. I mean, we had 2-1 loss to them earlier in the season, right?
Yeah, last minute winner from Ryan Fraser as well. So it was the thing. Like, I look at Southampton, Leeds, and Leicester. Ipswich are probably the only one of the top 4 who really dismantled us. But obviously got the win against Leicester, drew with Leeds, lost to Southampton, where in the Leeds and Southampton games, it really felt like we deserved something out of it. And then Southampton sort of dropped in the last minute. And I feel like in some ways, going away from home, we actually perform better because maybe it's the more passionate away supporters backing us. Obviously, the pitch will be better at Southampton. And then I guess, as you were saying about the Huddersfield game, exactly. But if teams are sort of coming onto us, it gives us that chance to, they're not sitting back and making it hard for us. Maybe that's a good thing for us. I don't know. I just feel like with them having lost this morning, it's almost worse for us because if it had come to us and they were still unbeaten, I think whether it's complacency, whether it's even just the odds of, they're bound to lose one eventually, you kind of go, well, maybe it can be us. Whereas now it's the cliche in sport of like the loss that you have to have is that it maybe sharpens their focus and makes them more focused to win each game, especially because now they've dropped out of the top 2. Like if they were coasting 4 or 5 points clear of third, there's more chance that they take their eye off it against us, I feel.
I mean, I guess then we're glad we're not the team to play them directly after them losing.
Yeah, because is that West Brom? I think I was looking at it last week in terms of...
I didn't. I'll
have a look quickly. Yeah, West Brom. They've got West Brom this weekend.
Okay, great. So the question is, do we want them to win against West Brom?
Yeah, I'd say so. Keep West Brom close to us. I think top 2's off the table for us.
Okay. No, I think top 4's off the table for us. Top 4's off the table for most clubs.
Yeah. Well, yes, and I look at Ipswich and they've got one win and 9.
That's changed. But I think we were all calling that the way that they started their season wasn't the way they were going to finish their season, and there was no way they could continue that form.
I think they've got their next 5 are all against bottom half teams, so they could turn things around. I think, realistically, I think 5th's sort of our ceiling. Yeah.
I said to you, if we finish 7th, I think I don't know how I'm going to recover from that.
I think the Swansea game's at least given us a bit of perspective that it's not just like we're going to go walk through teams and just smash everyone. I was saying this morning on Twitter, I think the good thing is that the bulk of our business in January was almost with an eye to next season. Like you look at Panda, you look at Irma, where it's like we're kind of giving them 6 months to bed in ahead of next season.
Giles as well, I guess.
And Giles as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really only Carvalho and Zaruri and I guess Ohio, but Look,
Morton.
after this morning, he could prove me wrong. Like he could turn around and score like 6-7 goals for us. Yeah, Morton, of course, from the first half as well. I just feel like we've got a really good core of permanent players here now. It's not like some seasons gone past where you go, oh, we've got, half the team coming out of contract and, all the loans go back and we have to start again. And like we were saying before when talking to Lap, like it feels like if we don't go up this year, I'd back us to have another good window. Maybe we sell Philogene and reinvest.
Yeah.
But it's not like the Allens. Like we will reinvest the money. We will strengthen the squad.
Yeah. I think this season we've probably seen increased performance on the pitch, but I think the biggest shift in the last 2 years has been just how well we've been off the pitch. Yeah. I mean, everything was happening with financial fair play and getting players over the line. Like Chun was really on top of it, and I think that's why some transfers were delayed, was to just make sure that we didn't break the line of any financial fair play. And I have a feeling in previous seasons or with the alarms that would have been something that occurred. So I think just the management and the transfers, and I think the trust and relationship between the owners and the head coach of Rosie is something that we haven't seen in a really long time.
Yeah, for sure. But just back on Southampton, I think, like you said, I'd said we'll see where we are after the next 3 games, being Huddersfield, Southampton, West Brom. I think is probably a really good indication of where we'll finish the season. Looking ahead to this game, I had actually been quite confident we could get something, especially when like the way we matched up against them earlier in the season. Like I said, I'm sort of less confident, ironically, contradictorily, sort of less confident now that they've lost. But like you said, like if they draw or lose to West Brom as well, you kind of go, oh, maybe they are kind of hitting a sticky patch. But yeah, I'm going to back us for a 1-0 win in this one.
That's fair. If they lose to West Brom, I'm way more concerned with the West Brom game.
I was going to say, like, I kind of want Southampton to beat West Brom because you don't want West Brom.
I want it to be like a 1-0 scrappy penalty win.
Yeah.
I have a 1-1 down or 1-1.
Yeah, okay. I think we'd be pretty happy with that.
I'll be stoked with the draw.
And it's funny how much like perspective can change. Like the 2-1 win over Rotherham suddenly turns it into 3 wins in 4 rather than 2 losses in 3. And you're sort of coming into the Huddersfield game first of all, suddenly going, well, hang on, if we beat Huddersfield, then that's 4 wins in 5, and that's actually a pretty healthy run of form that we've got going heading into Southampton.
I mean, almost an expected run though. Like those are games we should be winning. Yeah,
I think going into those 5, we were sort of saying we should be winning all 5.
Yeah.
So
Swansea was a kick in the gut, I think, for sure, and probably needed.
But I think, like, realistically, you look at those games, you go, yes, we should be winning all 5, but football never works that simply. You're always going to drop one game. So I think as long as we beat Huddersfield, I'd be pretty happy with that stretch of 5 games, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's leave things there. So thank you for joining me on this one, Mike.
Thanks for having me again.
No worries. And thanks, everyone, for listening in. We'll be back this time next week to chat all things Hull City. But until then, come on, City.